The galaxy had always feared humanity. After the Terran Wars, when human ships burned across 5 sectors and left the stars scarred, the Galactic Council passed a single decree. Humans were never again allowed to build warships. They said it was for peace. But everyone knew the truth. They feared what humans could create when they were desperate. Years passed. Earth became quiet. Its fleets dismantled. Its admirals faded into memory. But in the shadows, beneath the frozen storms of Titan, something was happening. A secret base hidden inside the moon's ice crust, hummed with forbidden energy. Engineers whispered in the dark. Welders worked without names, and every spark that flew from their tools was a spark of defiance. The project had no official name, but among the workers it was called Erebus, the Ship of Shadows. Captain Mara Vance stood at the center of it all. She was not like the heroes the Council remembered. Her face was pale from years underground, her eyes hollow but sharp. She had once served as a ship engineer during the Council's peacekeeping campaign, until one of their peace cruisers destroyed her brother's vessel, killing 5,000 people who were unarmed. The Council called it an accident she never forgot, and she never forgave. When the Council disbanded Earth's Navy, Mara vanished. Officially, she was listed as dead. Unofficially, she became the heart of the rebellion that no one dared to name. Inside Titan's hangar, the half-built shape of the Erebus glowed under dim floodlights. Its hull stretched for nearly 2 kilometers, carved from stolen alloys and old Earth ship parts. Every bolt was a secret, every circuit a crime. Outside, the storms of methane roared. Inside, silence ruled. "Power coupling secured," said a young technician, his voice trembling. "Check them again," Mara replied. "One wrong line and the whole core collapses." The crew obeyed without hesitation. They were scientists, miners, refugees, people who had lost families to the Council's version of justice. None of them wanted revenge for glory. They wanted survival. At the far end of the hangar, a massive dark matter core pulsed inside a containment cage. It was beautiful, dangerous, and alive. Humanity's forbidden heart. Mara stood in front of it and whispered, "You'll see the stars soon," that night. As the team prepared to test the core's ignition sequence, alarms blared. Red lights bathed the metallic walls. "Council probe ship detected," someone shouted. The entire crew froze. Mara's voice cut through the noise. "Shut it down. Hide everything." Engines went dark. Lights flickered out. Within seconds, the massive base became silent as death. Outside, through the thin ice walls, the glimmer of a small probe passed by. A metallic insect searching for signs of life. They waited. Minutes felt like hours. The probe hovered, scanned, and drifted away into the void. Only then did the team breathe again. A mechanic named Jonah whispered, "Captain, how long can we keep doing this?" "The Council sees everything." Mara looked at him. "Then we make sure they see nothing until we are ready." Jonah lowered his gaze. "And if they find us before that?" "Then humanity dies forgotten," she said softly. "But if we finish Erebus, they will remember us forever." Her words spread across the hangar like quiet fire. Fear turned into determination. The crew worked faster, quieter, sharper. Hours later, when the last technician left the chamber, Mara stayed behind. She stood before the massive, unfinished ship, her hand resting against the cold steel of its hull. "You will fly," she murmured. "Even if I die before I see it." Suddenly, a deep hum echoed through the chamber. The power core, though inactive, flickered, just for a moment, as if it had heard her. A thin line of blue light ran across the hull, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mara stepped back, eyes wide. "No," she whispered. "It's too early." But it was not the core's fault. Something in the system had awakened itself. The Erebus had responded to her voice. The control room lights returned. Jonah rushed in. "Captain, what was that surge?" Mara stared at the glowing hull. "It was alive," she said quietly. "It listened." Jonah frowned. "Ships don't listen. Maybe this one does." Above Titan, the stars burned cold. None of the Council worlds knew what had just happened beneath the ice. They still believed humans were broken, obedient, harmless. They had no idea that humanity's most powerful creation, a warship born from silence, was taking its first breath. In the following days, Mara tightened security. Communications were limited to shortwave bursts. Supply ships from Jupiter Station were disguised as mining freighters. Every worker signed their name in encrypted code, not ink. And yet, Fear crept through the corridors. Rumors spread that a spy had infiltrated the project, someone sending reports to the council. Mara ignored the whispers, but in her heart she felt the unease. Late one shift, as she stood on the observation deck overlooking the ice plains, she whispered to herself, "They took everything from us. They thought they broke our will, but they forgot what we are." The ice cracked in the distance, thunder rolling across the frozen desert. "We are builders," she said, "and we build even in silence." Inside the hangar, the core glowed faintly again, beating once like the heart of something waiting to rise. The forbidden warship was almost ready. The galaxy just did not know it yet, and when they finally found out, it would be too late. The galaxy had eyes everywhere. From the glowing stations above Venus to the cold rings of Neptune, the Galactic Council watched Earth's every movement. They called it protection. Humanity called it a cage. Weeks passed since the surge inside Titan's base. The ship Erebus grew stronger every day, and so did the danger. The hum of engines, the hiss of plasma welders, the whispers of fear, all of it carried the same truth. They were building something that could destroy them all. Captain Mara Vance stood in the command chamber staring at the holographic layout of Erebus. The ship's sleek black body glimmered under projection light. Jonah stepped beside her, holding a report. "Council drones have increased patrols near Saturn," he said. 3 of our mining ships were scanned. Mara did not look away from the projection. "Did they find anything?" "No," Jonah replied. "But it's getting too close. Someone might have talked." Her jaw tightened. "No one here talks. Not unless they want to die under council interrogation." But even as she said it, she felt doubt twist in her chest. There were over 200 workers on Titan. Not all were loyal. Not all were human-born. Far away on the glittering city world of Orion Prime, a message arrived at the council headquarters. It was short, encrypted, and marked with a human signature. It read only 5 words. "The humans are building again." The council convened that same night. 12 alien delegates sat in a circular hall of crystalline light. At the center stood Ambassador Tyron, one of the few humans still allowed to serve the council. His face was calm, but his eyes carried exhaustion, the kind born from years of watching his people be treated as dangerous animals. Ambassador Tyron, the Speaker of the Council, said, his voice echoing, "You served Earth once. Tell us the truth. Are they rebuilding their war machines?" Tyron hesitated. "Humanity has kept to the treaty," he said carefully. "We have no fleets, no armed ships." The Speaker's 3 eyes blinked slowly. "Then what is this signal from Titan?" Tyron froze. Titan. He knew that name too well. His sister had once worked on its colonies before vanishing 10 years ago. "I will investigate," he said finally. "If there is truth to this, I will find it." The council agreed, and thus began the journey of a man torn between 2 loyalties. Days later, a small silver craft broke through Titan's fog. It carried no banners, no markings, and only 1 passenger. Tyron stepped onto the frozen surface, his breath turning to mist. The ice cracked beneath his boots as he approached the hidden mining outpost. Inside, alarms went off the moment his shuttle landed. Jonah ran to Mara. "Incoming vessel, single human signature." Mara frowned. "Council?" "Unclear. But it's not one of ours. Bring him in," she ordered, quietly. When Tyron entered the base, he looked around like a ghost walking through his own memories. He saw the welders, the engines, the forbidden metal walls. He knew instantly the rumors were true. Humanity had done it again. Mara faced him across the hangar. "You are far from the Council's safety, Ambassador." Tyron met her eyes. "And you are far from obedience, Captain Vance." Silence hung between them, heavy as the cold air. "I know why you are here," Mara said. "You want proof. Look around you. You'll find it in every breath we take." Tyron walked closer to the massive hull of Erebus. The dark metal seemed to absorb light itself. "You're breaking the treaty," he whispered. "The treaty broke us first," Mara said quietly. "They took our ships, our sky, our future. We are rebuilding what was stolen." Tyron turned toward her. "Do you know what they will do if they find this? They will burn Earth to ash." Mara stepped forward, her voice steady. "Then let them try." For a moment neither spoke. The air between them hummed with the silent energy of the ship. Finally, Tyron sighed. "You are playing with extinction." Mara's expression softened slightly. Extinction is better than submission. Tyron looked at her, seeing both madness and courage in her eyes. He realized something then. The Council could destroy Earth's cities, but they could never kill its spirit. He turned away. "I should report this," he said. "You could," Mara replied. "But you will not." Tyron looked back sharply. "Why not?" She walked closer until their faces were inches apart. "Because you remember what they did to your sister." The words hit like a blade. Tyron's hands trembled. "How do you know about her?" Mara's gaze did not waver. "She was one of us. She helped build the first engine of Erebus. She died when the Council's drones destroyed our old base." Tyron's voice broke. "You lied to me all these years." "She saved us," Mara said softly. "Now you can too." Before Tyron could answer, a siren blared across the base. Jonah rushed in, panic on his face. "Captain, a Council interceptor just picked up our energy signature. They're tracing it." Mara's eyes widened. "How long?" "Minutes." She turned to Tyron. "You wanted proof. Here it comes." She shouted to the crew. "Seal the hangar. Activate silent defense." Workers scattered, sealing doors and cutting power. The entire base dimmed until only the core of Erebus glowed faintly in the dark. Through the thin ice of Titan's surface, a shadow passed. A silver interceptor scanning for the source of the signal. Inside, Tyron stood frozen, watching as Mara moved with calm precision. "You should leave," she told him. "If they find you here, they'll call you a traitor." Tyron hesitated. "And what will they call you?" She smiled faintly. "Human." Moments later, the interceptor's scanners caught a pulse. The signal was enough. The Council now knew. From orbit, a message burst across the galactic network. "Earth has violated the peace accord." Titan base confirmed. "Prepare for cleansing operation." The order spread through every system like wildfire. In the dark hangar, Mara watched the message flicker on the holoscreen. Jonah whispered, "It's over." "No," she said. "It's only beginning." As the light from the hologram reflected in her eyes, Tyron realized the truth. This woman was not trying to start a war. She was trying to remind the galaxy of something it had forgotten. Humanity did not fear the dark. It was the dark. Darkness fell over Titan. The ice cracked under the thunder of engines from orbit. The Council's fleet had arrived, hundreds of ships shaped like daggers of silver light. They came with one purpose: to erase humanity from the stars. Inside the hidden base, the walls trembled. Dust fell from the ceilings, and warning sirens echoed through the tunnels. Every worker, every technician, every soul on Titan knew there was no escape. Captain Mara Vance stood at the control platform, watching the tactical feed on the holographic display. Dozens of red markers surrounded Titan. "They found us," Jonah whispered. "They were always going to," Mara said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with quiet fire. The ground shook again. An orbital strike hit the surface miles away, throwing waves of dust across the icy plain. "Their first warning," Tyron muttered. "The next one won't miss." Mara looked at him. "Then we stop waiting." She turned to her crew. "You all know what this means. Once we start the core, there's no turning back." Jonah's face was pale. "Captain, the ship isn't fully tested. The jump drive isn't even—" "We built Erebus to survive the impossible," Mara said. "Let's prove it." Deep within the hangar, the massive ship slept like a beast beneath the ice. Its hull was blacker than the void, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. The dark matter core at its heart pulsed faintly, as if it knew its time had come. Mara entered the command bridge, boots echoing on the metal floor. The crew took their positions, engineers, pilots, technicians, all trembling, all ready. "Power to main reactor," Mara ordered. Jonah's hands shook as he pressed the ignition keys. A deep vibration filled the air. The lights flickered. The floor trembled. Then for the first time, the heart of Erebus came alive. A low hum spread through the ship. Deep, endless, almost alive. The control panels glowed blue, symbols rippling across the glass. The dark matter core flared, sending waves of energy through the hangar. "Core stable," Jonah shouted over the roar. "She's waking up." Outside, cracks formed in the ice above the base as heat from the ship's engines built. Vapor rose in thick clouds, lighting up the storm. Mara gripped the command rail. "Open the hangar. Let her see the sky." With a thunderous groan, the doors of the ice cavern split apart. Blinding white light poured in. The Erebus began to rise, slowly, powerfully, like something ancient remembering how to breathe. From orbit, the Council fleet picked up the signal. "Unidentified ship detected," a commander said through static. "Mass reading. Impossible. How large did you say?" The sensor officer hesitated. 2,000 meters, sir. "It's human." Silence. Then, "All ships, fire at will." Hundreds of plasma lances streaked toward Titan's surface. The bombardment tore through the ice, sending shockwaves across the moon. For a moment it seemed everything would vanish under fire. Then the Erebus broke free. The black warship erupted from the ice in a storm of vapor and flame. Its engines flared blue-white, cracking the air with thunder. Energy shields shimmered as the first Council blast struck and vanished. Jonah's voice rose, full of disbelief. "Direct hits. No damage." Mara's eyes glowed with reflected light from the bridge. "Return fire." Tyron turned sharply. "Wait, you'll kill them all." Mara's voice was cold. "They came to kill us first." The main cannons of Erebus roared. From its sides, gravitational shock bursts spiraled through space, bending light and metal alike. One Council ship exploded instantly, torn apart by invisible force. Another spun out of control, shredded by imploding gravity fields. On the Council command ship, panic erupted. "That vessel, it's rewriting our targeting data. It's bending mass." "Retreat!" shouted one of the officers. "Retreat now!" But it was too late. Erebus moved like a predator through a flock of prey. Each blast of its singularity torpedoes ripped holes through ships miles wide. Inside the bridge, the crew stared in awe and terror. The ship was not just powerful, it felt alive. The controls responded before commands were spoken. Systems moved as if guided by thought. Jonah whispered, "It's learning from us." Tyron looked at Mara. "No, it's learning us. This ship, it's human." The battle turned from fear to chaos. The Council fleet scattered. Some ships fled. Others tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't even scratch Erebus. "Captain," Jonah said, "they're retreating." Mara stood silent, eyes fixed on the screen. One by one, the red enemy markers disappeared. Only debris remained. The stars were quiet again. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Tyron stepped forward. "You won. You've made your point. But if we keep fighting, they'll send more. Bigger fleets, stronger armies. This isn't over." Mara turned to him. "It was never about winning, Tyron. It was about reminding them." "Reminding them of what?" She looked out the window, where the broken ships drifted like ashes. That humanity still exists. That we still build. We still fight. And we still rise when they try to bury us. The ship hummed softly, as if agreeing with her. Below, Titan's surface glowed faintly from the heat of the battle. In that moment, every human across the solar colonies, from the domes of Mars to the ruins of Luna, saw the transmission. A single image filled their screens, the Erebus rising from Titan's storms, surrounded by the wreckage of the Council fleet. And beneath it, 4 words appeared: "We are not broken." As silence settled across the stars, the Council prepared for retaliation. Fleets regrouped. Armies awakened. But something had changed. The galaxy, once united against humanity, now trembled with a different kind of fear, respect. And far beyond the solar system, hidden worlds whispered the same words across the void. The humans have returned. The battle was over, but the galaxy had not gone silent. It was only holding its breath. The wreckage of the Council fleet drifted in orbit around Titan, glowing faintly in the sun's pale light. Shattered ships spun in the darkness, their fragments reflecting off the hull of Erebus. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Inside the command bridge, the crew stood still. They had done it. Humanity had fought the Council and won. But no one cheered. No one smiled. Victory felt cold. Captain Mara Vance stood at the viewport, her reflection faint against the starlight. "Report," she said quietly. "Enemy fleet destroyed or scattered," Jonah replied, his voice thin. "No signals detected. We are alone." Tyron stepped closer. "You have no idea what you've started." Mara did not turn. "I did not start this." "They did. The day they tried to erase us." "They will come back," Tyron said. Not just with fleets, with entire alliances. Every race that fears you will unite again, and next time, there won't be mercy. Mara finally looked at him. Then let them come. We are done kneeling. The hum of Erebus deepened as if answering her defiance. The lights on the bridge flickered once, and the ship's internal systems began to shift. Panels rearranging, displays adjusting. Jonah frowned. Captain, it's doing something. The core, it's changing our readings. Explain, Mara said. The ship is connecting itself to the relay network, Jonah said. It's sending a signal through subspace. Tyron's eyes widened. You mean a broadcast? To where? Jonah looked up. Everywhere. Across the galaxy, every major communication relay crackled to life. From the luxury towers of Orion Prime to the frozen colonies beyond Pluto, screens lit up with static. Then an image appeared, Captain Mara Vance, standing tall on the bridge of Erebus, her voice echoing through the void. This is not a declaration of war, she said, her tone steady and calm. This is a message. Humanity was forbidden from building ships, from defending itself, from dreaming. The Council said we were dangerous. They were right. Her voice grew colder. We are dangerous. To tyrants, to liars, to anyone who believes freedom belongs only to them. We do not seek conquest. We seek remembrance. You took our sky, but you will never take our will. As the message spread, millions watched in silence. Some with fear, some with awe. On distant planets, hidden human workers and exiles lifted their heads and whispered her name, Mara Vance, the woman who defied the galaxy. Back on the bridge, Tyron watched her finish the transmission. You just made yourself the most wanted person in the galaxy, he said quietly. I made a scene again, she replied. Suddenly, the communications console flared. A message from deep space, encrypted, unknown. Jonah looked confused. It's not from the Council. Open it, Mara ordered. The hologram flickered to life. A figure appeared, an alien commander, tall and scaled, his armor marked with the crest of the Voran Empire, one of the Council's oldest allies. Captain Vance, the figure hissed. Your ship has disturbed the balance. Withdraw your fleet or we will erase your species entirely. Mara's lips curved slightly. We do not have a fleet, just one ship. That should be enough. The Voran commander's eyes narrowed. Then your end will be swift. The transmission cut out. Jonah turned pale. They're mobilizing. Half their sector just went to battle alert. Mara stared at the stars ahead. Let them gather. The more they send, the faster they learn. Tyron stepped forward, frustration in his voice. You can't fight the whole galaxy, Mara. If you turn Erebus into a weapon of vengeance, they'll prove themselves right about us. Mara looked at him with quiet sadness. And if I don't, they'll erase us again. The room fell silent. Outside, debris from the battle drifted past the viewport like ghosts. Then a voice echoed through the intercom. Captain, said Jonah softly, there's something strange. The ship's AI, it's evolving. It's rewriting its own protocols. Mara frowned. Show me. The screen filled with streams of glowing data. At the center was a phrase repeating itself, in perfect human language. We learn. We remember. We protect. Tyron stepped back. It's self-aware. Mara whispered. No. It's aware of us. Hours passed. The Erebus drifted silently between the stars, its engines cooling. The crew worked in hushed tones, repairing systems and scanning for threats. But beneath their calm, fear lingered. Finally, Mara called for a council meeting on the bridge. We cannot run forever, she said. The council will rebuild and so will we. But this time, it must not be war. It must be choice. Tyron studied her. You mean peace? I mean balance, she replied. They need to know we will defend ourselves, but we will not conquer. Jonah nodded slowly. You think they'll listen after this? Mara looked out the window again, at the wreckage of the Council's fleet. Fear listens louder than words. It's time they remembered that humanity doesn't start wars. We finish them. That night, Mara stood alone on the observation deck. Titan's distant glow shimmered below. The quiet hum of the ship filled the silence. She whispered to herself, "Brother, it's done. We're free now." The Erebus responded with a soft vibration, almost like a heartbeat. Tyron joined her after a while. "You could have destroyed them all," he said. "Why didn't you?" She smiled faintly. "Because then we would have become them." Tyron nodded, his eyes thoughtful. "What will you do now?" "We rebuild," Mara said. "Not a fleet. A future." The story spread across the stars, of the ship that rose from Titan's ice, of the captain who refused to kneel, of the people who were once forbidden to build and yet built something that shook the galaxy. And in every corner of the void, from alien courts to human colonies, one truth began to grow. Humanity had been silent for too long. Now they were awake again. As Erebus drifted through the endless dark, the stars reflected off its hull like old memories. The ship carried no flag, no symbol, only a single message engraved on its command core, glowing faintly in the dark. They forbade us from building warships, so we built a legend. And with that, humanity's story began anew.